Instead, police say he left Tennessee, he headed for Mississippi. Lauren's family, by the way, was supposed to be notified if Rivers was released, but they say that didn't happen soon enough. Why? Because 5 days after Rivers was let go, Lauren's dead body was found in the backseat of her car in a cemetery. She had reportedly been wrapped in sheets and trash bags. Lance claimed his daughter was beaten to death. We're currently awaiting the results of an autopsy at the time of this recording, but 22 years old. That's what we're talking about. I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Danielle Jackson to talk a little bit more about this. Danielle, thanks so much for coming on and coming here on Sidebar.
No problem.
Unfortunately, my understanding is these kinds of alleged or domestic violence situations that turn deadly, you've worked on a lot of these cases, right?
Yes,
And
a lot of.
Do you see similarities between this and the ones you've covered?
Yes, a lot of times bail is set, especially if the allegations are as egregious as it sounds like the car incident was. Very high bail is usually set in those cases. And then, you know, if a client of mine, I work for indigent clients, are unable to afford bail, we do request the bail to be lowered. And there's usually conditions such as GPS monitoring, at least in the state of New York, where that is an option for people. So I've worked on a lot of these.
We're going to get into that in a second. Just from broad picture point of view, looking at this, the allegations, yes, they're allegations, right? He hasn't been proven guilty yet. But this young, 23, 22 years old, do you see those kinds of cases?
Unfortunately, yes. I think that for me, in the last 10 years, I've been seeing a lot of domestic violence cases for young people under the age of 25. I will say not sometimes, you know, as escalated as this, but we do see quite a few cases.
Hey, everybody, we'll get.
So, Mike, my thing is now, again, what I keep bringing up is danger to the community. No bail. No bail if you're a danger to the community. What is so hard to understand about that? Why isn't that one of the factors? You said one was ties to the community.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in courts. I've listened to them saying, Your Honor, my client's family is here in the courtroom.
Right.
You know, he has ties to the community. He's gainfully employed. There's another thing that
right. That's a good one.
Ties
right.
to the community. Number three, that should be also on that list is, wait a minute, Your Honor, and this should be raised by the district attorney. He is a danger to the community, this guy. And look, he was just allowed out after having served 7 months in jail, and then he kills her. So how is the state responsible for this, or are they not responsible for this, Mike?
I mean, they are responsible morally, ethically. They're responsible legally. You know, none of these characters who make really screwed up decisions are going to suffer any sort of criminal consequences. Suing the state sets its immunity, and so you could sue the state, you could sue the county, you know, sue the judge in her official capacity. Maybe you're going to get some money. Depends upon how the state, you know, writes the law on its civil liability of its actors, like police officers, judges, prosecutors, and things like that. They may get some money, they may not. If they're going to get some money, it's not going to be much. It's not going to be anytime soon. It's not going to bring back Mr. Johansen. The only thing that the Johansens have at this point is the knowledge that perhaps now this knucklehead Bryce is going to be in prison for the rest of his life. But given the demonstrated incompetency of the judge and the system in Tennessee, you know, that even that's not assured. And that's really sad, because it's like these guys, it's open season on women. You know, for many of these ladies, that's the only thing they got, because these guys are violent, predatory criminals. And the only thing that these ladies got are the police and the courts and the district attorney's office. And they're failing them. And this isn't, you know, 1 in a million cases. This is a lot of cases. And,
Mike, this reminds me of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, except they were traveling the country together.
Right, during the summertime. Right.
and he murdered her, he strangled her.
Right.
Therese from Australia, thank you for the 799 super sticker. Thank you, Bill and Mike, for all that you do. Such a sad case. Therese, it is the saddest, especially when it could have been prevented by our elected officials, by our criminal justice system. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic that these people are in power, that allow these procedures to go forth. And I could even see the defense attorney that's on Law and Crime with Jesse Weber. She agrees with bail reform, that, no one that's a defense attorney is ever going to mention danger to the community.
Never.
Well, we mention it because it's a reality. A defense attorney just wants our client out, and because they're indigent, and we're supposed to now have tears rolling down our face that the guy's indigent, is getting a free attorney, and he gets locked up at least 3 times a year, and on the taxpayer's dime, he's being represented. Let me go back to Law and Crime with Jesse Weber.
They track Lauren's car using OnStar to that cemetery, and the police and Lance, who, by the way, accompanied law enforcement, they find Lauren dead. Now, aside from the fact of a father finding his own daughter in that way, and we'll get into that in a second, I don't understand how that happened. I don't understand how you have somebody who's released and they have to actually turn up for GPS monitoring. They're not brought there.
It depends on the jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions have it where there's a sheriff's office that will meet the person at the local jail and then will transport them to the sheriff's office where they usually do the ankle monitoring setup system. There are other jurisdictions, however, where this person, after they've made bond, is supposed to self-check in at these sites.
He can't be the
Well, what is it, a Motel 6?
Right. Self-check-in.
A self-check-in for your ankle monitor? How ridiculous is that? Whoever made that procedure needs to be fired. Heather, whatever, thank you so much for the 199 super sticker. Thank you for caring. We do care, and you can hear it in our voices. You can hear it in our outrage. This is so outrageous that it's beyond what a competent government official should be doing.
the first one to allegedly have done this, right? I'm imagining people don't show up.
It does happen. I wouldn't say, at least in New York, it happens that often, but it does happen, which is why you see a lot of judges sometimes a little reluctant about doing it, unless you're assured them that there's some type of escort that's already prearranged, or that there's going to be this sheriff's officer or some other law enforcement officer personally taking them from the jail to the site.
And by the way, with the DA's office, we'll talk about them a little bit later because they opposed the judge ultimately not imposing a stricter bond amount. We'll talk about that in a second.